Hey guys, what's up? This is Insanity. Got a gameplay of Black Ops Cold War on PC. This bit, though, firstly is the tail end of my Dark Aether camo grind that I was doing on the PS4, and I'm just showing the part where I finally unlocked Dark Aether. The last gun I was unlocking zombie camos for was the MAC-10, and at this point, I needed the 2500 Pack-a-Punch kills to finally complete the set and unlock Dark Aether afterwards. Not a hard task, but certainly quite a tedious grind since you can't break into the 2,000 plus enemy kills in a solo zombies run until past round 40. I was using Die Machine for every single run as I didn't like Fire-based Z for the 2 mandatory objectives you need to do. Plus, for the Pack-a-Punch kills, you can Pack-a-Punch your gun as early as round 6, factoring in all the doors and debris you have to buy to get to unlocking the machine. And Die Machine overall is the simplest zombie map to grind out camo challenges, so there's that. Maybe there's a faster way on Fire-based Z I'm not aware of, but I just used what I felt was the most reliable. Fire-based Z is certainly the better map for the Elite Elimination camo challenges, but it's a moot point when considering the PlayStation versions of Cold War have Onslaught, which throws elites at you every 3 rounds, making it the better option for elite kills. I was happy to come across a reliable method of getting weapon levels to buff the weapons I wanted to use for the Dark Aether grind to at least level 49, if not level 50, though this does require double weapon XP to be active, as well as playing in split screen on a PlayStation version for the party boost. Things that made the grind more bearable was that I already max leveled or got Golden Viper on some guns way before I ever thought about doing the Dark Aether grind, so that helped ease me into the grind somewhat. One of the bright points of the grind is that although you need to complete 9 sets of weapons, you can completely skip the launchers if you get Plague Diamond for the melee and special weapon category, which just requires 1 of each. That knocks down 2 of the 9 weapon classes towards Dark Aether, so it's just a matter of grinding out everything else besides the launchers. Also, for once, you can actually use the DLC weapons to count towards the weapon class set. Before, you were required to get camos on all the base weapons for it to count towards the mastery camo, and the DLC weapons had to wait it out until then. If you happen to have leveled up the DLC weapons since they're pretty good, such as the Farah assault rifle or the MAC-10 SMG, then by all means stick with them for the grind. For me, this only really applied to the DLC ARs of the Groza and Farah. I still had to grind out weapon levels for the SMGs and just chose to level up the LC-10 and MAC-10, as well as LMGs for the sake of the Dark Aether grind. The sniper rifles, pistols, and shotguns were already maxed since I've abused those weapons in multiplayer so much, so it was just a matter of acquiring all the zombie skins for them. I've also used the combat knife for the sake of unlocking melee weapons in zombies, so I will naturally acquire loads and get skins for it without really having to think about it. In fact, I originally swapped out the combat knife for the ballistic knife, thinking it would count towards melee weapon unlocks, and found out the hard way that it wasn't the case. But there was another weapon that required using special weapons to unlock it, so I ended up indirectly making progress towards Plague Diamond on the special weapon anyway. Now, I'm glad that my motivating factor was really high in getting the Dark Aether camo, because the grinding process I went with would sound extremely tedious. I went with doing 40 plus rounds in Die Machine for the sake of unlocking all the camos on every single weapon I went with for the grind, because as I mentioned before, you don't break into the 2,000s of zombie kills until about round 40, and then you still have to take into account the potential wasted kills that would go against the challenges that may force you to over round 40, such as not getting most of your kills as critical kills, or accidentally picking up a nuke power-up. I used Onslaught for the Elite Eliminations on some guns, so I didn't need elite kills too much in Die Machine. Otherwise, yeah, 40 rounds, possibly more, every single run on Die Machine, all to unlock all the camos towards Dark Aether. Not exactly the most exciting method. Was the grind worth it? Yes, in a sense, especially since Dark Aether camo is basically the OG Black Ops 3 Dark Matter camo under a different name, and a very slight visual difference, and I feel accomplished in going for a mastery camo once more, after the COD games post Black Ops 3 had me only going for gold and diamond at most. Plus, I managed to get the nice little side thing done in completely farming all the crystals needed to max out everything to level 5. On the other hand, I do feel a sense of being deflated now that it's over, since I dread the idea that I have all these other weapons that weren't used for a Dark Aether grind, And if I want to Dark Aether in them, then I have to go out of my way to level them up and then do a fresh 40+ round Die Machine grind yet again. I'll just be happy that I even got Dark Aether, because I know for a fact that I'll never get Dark Matter Ultra. I won't even entertain the notion of getting camos on the multiplayer side of things. I still haven't gotten gold minimum for any of the non-sniper rifle classes, for instance. And now that I got a prestigious camo in Dark Aether, I don't really feel compelled to make the same kind of effort towards getting multiplayer camos. And I definitely do not want to think about grinding for some time. As for this gameplay, this is a 43 to 15 team deathmatch on satellite using the Dark Aether Tundra, with 23 of my kills coming from a Tundra. And I lose this match because most of my team rage quit midway through, and I thought to stick around in a futile attempt of hoping this game turns around and we win, because I get all my score streaks, but alas, it was not meant to be. Normally, I don't commentate on sniper gameplay, and this gameplay is probably one I would not have kept, but I thought to keep this gameplay for a few reasons. One, it's the first time I ever do anything on satellite. Most of my games on satellite either have me too passive and not engaging in action much or not sniping much. I'm also very likely to rage quit if I'm facing an enemy that understands the spawn knowledge enough to figure out how to easily pick off people without budging from the center part of the map with the plane wreckage. Secondly, this is the highest scoring performance I could manage in a TDM setting, since all 43 of my eliminations are kills and not a combination of kills and assists. I tend to feel mortified if my elimination count has too many assists in it, and on a map that I don't normally do well on, I think that a score like this is at least passable enough, even with me losing. If anything, this gameplay is good enough for commentary fodder. I did record another Dark Aether Tundra TDM game before this one that I was going to use for commentary fodder since it was a shorter length, but I messed up the audio on the recording and decided to go for a different fodder video instead. Naturally, I do have some Dark Aether Tundra games that I won't commentate on. The final score on it could have been better since it got a few assists, but I managed to do just enough sniping to make me satisfied with the gameplay overall. It feels great to use the Tundra on silence again, even though that means giving away my position every time I fire a shot. The sniper tuning update nerfed the bullet velocity gain from the Tiger Team barrel, so I really don't want extra gimping by adding the suppressor onto the Tundra. So if I want to snipe silenced, I'll just use the Swiss or Barrett 50 cal instead. Anyway, that's the gameplay and commentary. Hope you enjoyed it, and Insanity is out.